Hello, everybody. This is the beginning of a new series, and I'm very excited about this. Philopocrit, how are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
Very well. You've agreed to teach me some Hebrew.
Exactly.
So this is something that I've been saying for many years that I ought to do. Even on stream, many times I have vaguely gestured towards I ought to find the time to do this. So I hope that you watching will join me in this adventure as we. This is absolute ground zero. I know nothing, and I'm going to learn live with you on stream a little bit of Hebrew. So take it away, Philopocrit.
Thanks. So to start off with, I thought we'd take a look at some geography. So if you could bring up the map,
Yes,
then that would be good.
We want this screen or that one. Nope. Where have you gone? Hang about.
I've jumped into
there we go.
Jumped into the landscape. Right. So the first thing that we need is a restaurant. No, I don't know how to get. But anyway, that's not so important. The point is,
where are we going to stay in our adventures in the Middle East?
Let's try and blow this up a bit. So this is a map of the Near East. Actually, Middle East is more over here.
Oh, apologies. Yes.
And no, I made that mistake recently as well on one of my streams. But what I wanted to do is just take a look at the landscape within which.
Oh, and then the other side is the Far East, of course. I've only just made that connection.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So there's the Middle East, lots of mountains, and then there's the Far East.
That makes
Except
sense.
if you live here, then it's just the middle.
And from their perspective, this is the Middle West and then the Far West that we're looking at today.
Exactly. Anyway, so this is actually the middle of the world.
Arguably so.
Yes, it's great to look at medieval maps, which actually we can actually do that because that's a part of how Hebrew works. Is that the Hebrews actually oriented themselves like this.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So they looked towards the east. So that was kind of their north.
So yes, for like the travelers, the wise men from the east, they would have visualized as coming down the map to reach them.
Exactly. Yeah. So and in German, it's actually still called the land of morning, essentially the morning land.
Because the sun rises in the east.
Yeah, exactly. So if the Magi from like Babylon or Persia or something,
the Magi coming out of from the direction that the sun comes from.
Exactly. Yeah, and then the west is obviously where the sun sets, and that's where the ocean is. So that's a very dangerous place. And we can see over here somewhere.
Probably hence Tolkien's like they're going into the west at the end
into the sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But also that's where Albion is said to be in the English mythology, I think. So where's that? Ireland? No. Anyway, let's get back to the biblical world, which is over here. And so this is the Near East. And Hebrew as a language, it doesn't just like pop out of a hole in the ground, but rather it grows kind of like a garden out of other languages and so on. Exactly how old Hebrew is in relation to the languages that surround it, I don't think can be absolutely established. So there are question marks around dates when these really old languages appear, especially in their spoken forms. But what is certain is that Hebrew gains dominance in this area, and surrounding it, you get other languages that are similar, like I wanted to say Aramean, but it's Aramaic. Is that? Sorry, I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
Aramaic.
And I suppose some of these very ancient languages may have been pretty close to the Tower of Babel originals, depending on your views on those things. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So in that line, it's, I think, important to note that these people here spoke the Hebrew language, and that's the language that we're looking at.
Okay.
And then these people up here, going all the way down into the place where Israel was taken captive throughout the history of the Bible, they spoke Aramaic.
Okay.
And as a result of the captivity or the exile that the Hebrews spent in this part of the world, they also adopted Aramaic, which is why Jesus, for example, speaks Aramaic. And there are other, and there are other languages as well that are related to Hebrew, like Arabic, which is more down here, and the Muslim religion, so Islam, also claims to trace back to Ishmael, who's a biblical character, and he's also said to have lived in this part of the world. So there's some really interesting connections that one can actually see by just looking at the map. And then finally, as well, the Ethiopian language, Amharic, I think is what it's called, is also related to Hebrew. So you've got a couple of languages here in this part of the world that are all similar, which means that if you know Hebrew really well, then you can probably also learn those with a lot greater ease.
Well, let's walk before we can run. I'm sure I'll be speaking Ethiopian in a couple of months, maybe, but
tomorrow? No, not really. Yeah,
tomorrow.
Yes, but the point that I'm trying to make is that these are really ancient languages. They established themselves in the part of the world in which human civilization first established itself, and as a result, it's also where writing systems were first invented. And one of the first writing systems was the Egyptian hieroglyphic writing system, which is more pictographic.
And the text that scholars will, like secular scholars, will claim to have been the oldest in the world is the cuneiform sort of, what is it? Not the flood account, but the
Gilgamesh epic.
Yes,
exactly.
Which must be in a similar kind of text.
Yes, yeah. So they are writing systems. Maybe we can do that at the beginning of the next episode. Actually, I think.
Yeah. For now, sorry, I don't mean to drag you off of your plan.
Yeah, no, it's because it's great. I think it's also important to understand why the writing looks the way it does and so on. Which is the next point: is that in Egypt, which actually had a much more extensive border back in the day, hieroglyphic writing systems were used. And now some say, I mean, there is also rabbinic tradition in the Hebrew language that says, the Lutheran Orthodoxy actually took this up in some of their teaching, although it's not in our official confession, so we don't actually necessarily believe this. But some of the Hebrew, the rabbinic tradition says basically that when Moses received the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai, it was written in this Hebrew alphabet that we also know now.
Interesting.
With the vocalization, which we'll all learn about. So to those who know what that means, good for you. But for the rest of us, we're going to have to find out what that means now. But what scholars nowadays tend to think is that the original sort of alphabetic system that was used to write Hebrew was derived of a Middle Egyptian writing system, if I understand it correctly, which is here called Proto-Sinaitic, because the writings that were found in this writing system were found in the Sinai Peninsula, as far as I know. And as one can see here, there are more pictures than like letters as we know them from school.
Yeah, it's like when you pick the wrong font when you keep going through, in Word and you're trying out everything. You're like, what is that?
Yeah, isn't there one that's called
Windings?
Windings. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. Anyway, so that's how people used to write.
Yeah, and I can see why you would maybe start by drawing pictures of things you recognize, like that person, but then over the course of generations, they're like, well, let's not draw a person every time. Like as long as we can distinguish the glyphs from one another, there's probably a faster way to do this.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I've got kind of access to the university library here in Leipzig now, and I looked at, they've got a papyrus on display, which is written in some Egyptian dialect as well. Wow. In a more like alphabetic script. I think it's probably something like this, but I'm not exactly sure. And there you can almost still recognize figures that are like moving around. So it's almost a picture, and you can almost recognize it, but it's actually letters, which is quite
actually letters as well. Wow, that's really cool. It's almost a lost art. You could imagine somebody inventing that now as a progression of language. Like it's not only letter forms, but it's also people. But that's what it was.
Yeah. It's great. But in this way, each letter is a character of its own. And the way in which these different letters interact with each other is almost like a story all of its own. So that one word is like a story that then is engaged with other stories, and they create bigger stories. And it's, again, this whole fractal pattern that we keep coming across in reality once it's read through scripture, I think. So that would be this. This is my cheat sheet. So I'm going to use this now to try and teach us the first 10 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Maybe before I close this window, I can just show you these are the first. There's kind of a system that I'm going to be working with, which is that I'll be looking at 2 letters, or at least phonetically. No, what do you call it? There's like a way in which to remember it, which is kind of sing-songy, which we can maybe apply once we've gone through all of the letters once. But basically, I've divided it into sections of 5, and today, hopefully, we can get through the first 10 letters because of that. So it's the A, the B, the G, the D, the H, the V, the Z, the CH, the T, and the Y.
My alphabetic brain is already saying these are in totally the wrong order.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, so this is a fun thing to begin with, is that you can see here, this is called Aleph, the first letter. And it's not really an A, technically, but we'll get into that just now. The second letter is called Bet. And so we've almost got alphabet, but instead of alpha, it's Aleph Bet. And that's already hinting at the fact that this isn't too distantly removed from the Greek or our Latin alphabet.
Wow. Yeah.
So Hebrew isn't as weird as you thought, maybe.
This will be a cinch.
Really, yeah, exactly.
And so when God says, I'm the Alpha and the Omega, he's actually saying, I'm the Aleph and the whatever the last letter is, I guess.
I think with that, we can jump right into writing these letters. So let me...
Do I need a pen? I didn't think about that.
Yes. So I think it's important for anyone that's watching. I hadn't thought about it like this either, but when you jump into it, then suddenly... Yep. So this can stop, and I will bring up the...
It should be easy to find a pen, but I'm so futuristic that I do absolutely everything on my computer. It might be easier for me to find a graphics tablet than a pen.
Oh, you can use that as well. Maybe we can alternate screens so that you can also show off what you've learned.
That's true. All right. Well, yes. For the sake of not pausing the stream for me to scrabble around and find a pen, I'm going to use Paint, and then I can also share screens to add to the humor. Somebody in chat says this is still pretty weird.
This is actually the introduction to Ancient Aliens. It's just gonna get weirder from here. Gonna have like.
But how did they know how to write if nobody taught them? Evidence suggests that. I was watching a debunk of Ancient Aliens quite recently. It was quite fun.
Okay.
Okay, I've got Paint.
Right. I've also asked for permission to share my screen.
Permission granted.
Thank you. So let's see if I can. Still trying to keep my cheat sheet. I don't have enough screen space in this kind of thing. But anyway, let's give it a bash. So this is MS Paint. Welcome back to the year 1995.
So nostalgic.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's changed its interface a bit. But the point is, what we saw in terms of the hieroglyphs for the first letter, so we can imagine in our minds that this is the letter A. I hope you can recognize that as an A. That's kind of a letter A. And I've written it like this because it might hopefully make the connection to the letter Aleph a bit clearer. What it's derived of, what the word Aleph means, is a bull. And the hieroglyph for it is actually just, as we might have seen there, the head of a bull. So it looks kind of something like this.
Huh. That's cool. So of all
Yeah.
the things the first letter could be based off, it's the head of a bull. I like that.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of like semantic, or like, I don't know what you call it, a lot of meaning packed into this image. Because naturally, if you're living out in the country and civilization is still in its rudiments, then one of the most important parts of your life is your livestock.
I note that Abel and Cain sort of have them the wrong way around. Then you'd want the guy with the name beginning with A to also be dealing with bulls.
That's an interesting point, actually. I hadn't thought about it like that. I mean, one can see there that the letters have gone a bit further than.
Yeah, true. We've got words at that point. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the bull, and are you saying that the A that you've drawn there is that a Hebrew character? Because it looked a bit different in your chart.
All right, so the A that I've drawn is that's just an A.
That's
the Latin alphabet A.
Whoops. Latin alphabet, yeah.
So, sorry, I'm messing this up now, but let me just delete that. Anyway, so that's, I hope it looks kind of like a Latin alphabet.
That's a great bull that you've drawn.
Thank you. So
especially
this is,
given that it's Photoshop, it's paint.
Yes.
Unique skill set that you've got.
Yes, exactly. I could get a job, but no, I couldn't.
As Christine says, paint master race.
Yes, there we go. Good old mouse and screen. Anyway, so this letter is called Aleph, and it's a bull. And the bull is significant not only because an agricultural people needs livestock, but also because it is, and as a result of the fact that this is the sort of main animal that helps you plow the fields and so on. It's an animal that represents in the minds of man power, strength, and it becomes very closely associated with the most important deity in Canaan, who is called Baal. We know him from not only from the Diablo games, but also from the biblical narrative, in which he is one of the main antagonists, especially in the books of Kings and so on, of the God of Israel. But there's also a lot of archaeological evidence and so on that suggests that this letter Aleph and the bull could have been associated, especially in the minds of Israel, with their God, whose name is Yahweh. So it's possible that this is also representative of God, which makes more sense to me for the Hebrews anyway, because they depended on God for their agricultural success and so on. But anyway, so that's a little bit to the meaning of the letter. Now to get to the writing of the letter. The way in which this is usually written, and this is what you will have to practice, is, and this is how every Hebrew letter is written as well, is from the top, let me visualize this a bit. So it's written from the top left-hand corner, and then you draw the letter down into the bottom right-hand corner, if that makes sense. And it usually has quite a block-like shape as well. So with the letter A, it ends up looking a lot like an X. And here it might actually be quite useful to show the development of it.
Ooh, yeah.
But, well, let's start with just drawing Aleph. So the letter Aleph looks like an S, like an X, sorry. So you draw from top left to bottom right. You just draw a line up.
Sorry, I switched from my screen.
Yeah. You can. Okay, that's perfect. If it goes that easily, that's amazing. I was a bit worried that like it would be complicated, but anyway,
it's gonna take 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay, so a line top left to bottom right.
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
Great. And then usually there's a squiggle that's drawn over here that connects, which is kind of like a horn.
Okay, that's the horn. Fine.
And then there's another squiggle over here, which is like the face of the cow.
So the line is like the neck or the spine of the beast.
Exactly. So if I were to complete the drawing, let me do it in red so that one can differentiate. If I were to complete the drawing, this would be the one horn, this would be the other horn, this would be the face of the cow, and this is the neck, like you were saying.
Oh, that's cool.
But
You
yeah,
know, I've got pieces of paper like this that I did when I was about 5 years old, learning how to write the Latin letters. So I feel like I've really regressed.
Yep, welcome back. You must become like a child.
Indeed.
This is just the gospel.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me share my screen so you can see my there you go.
Nice. Yeah, you even filled it in. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I did the red lines, but I've got to remember the originals is just these ones, right? So that, and then one going up like that, and then one like kind of S-shaped thing coming down here like that. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's perfect. That's a better Aleph than I could write. So that's really good.
Thank you.
All
right. Shall I switch back to your screen?
Yes, please. Yeah, that'd be good. So that's the let me just zoom out here quickly. That's the first letter. The bull, the mighty one, the beginning, the head. Well, no, it's not the head, actually. It's just the bull. Let's think of it in terms of kind of this bull, the mighty deity. And it's referring in our minds to the true God. So then we get to the second letter, which is called Bet. So this is oh wait, I actually did forget something about the Aleph.
Oh yeah.
But I'll get back to that. No, I should do it. Okay. The Aleph, I'll take this opportunity to also show its development. Aleph, after having been that cow hieroglyph, it turns into a letter, which is used in the Phoenician language. The Phoenicians were like an early seafaring people. And it looks like this. And here one can sort of see it's a sideways cow head with ears. It looks almost like a pentagram.
So this Phoenician letter predates the Hebrew letter?
Exactly. And the Hebrews then take it over. So the ancient Hebrew, the Proto-Hebrew script, essentially, before they take over the script that we've now learned for the letter A. Oops, sorry, that was on my side.
But I don't know that it was.
Okay.
I think the internet went down.
Okay.
Carry on.
Anyway, so the bull, this is a Phoenician letter, that's what I was saying. And the Hebrews take it over, and it's anyway, they take it over. I've lost the plot a bit, but
so it's a bit like you could imagine they've taken the bottom line there, right at the bottom, going down, and kept that. They've kept the diagonal line that it cuts into. They've lost the middle spoke, and they've lost the upward slanting line, but they've kept the top bit and repositioned it.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so these are the letters that you find scrawled into stone in the deserts.
And I can see that one of the advantages of this, I would imagine the Phoenicians were doing this like cuneiform, so they've just got straight lines.
Well, we'll see, I guess, later on that. Yeah, but it is kind of a bit more. They've also
Whereas
got circles.
Hebrew letters have wiggles and things, so I can't imagine that you could write Hebrew using just straight marks. Is that fair?
Well, this is technically Paleo Hebrew, so the old Hebrew. So this is Hebrew, okay. But the later Hebrew is actually the Aramaic. This is where it gets complicated, but that's actually the Aramaic alphabet, and they're writing with pens. And
so the version that you taught me of Aleph, it belongs to which script?
That belongs to the Aramaic script. And that's like if you find a Hebrew Bible or rabbinic literature or any Hebrew like printed literature, you'll find it in the form that you've learned now.
Which form do you think was used for the tablets of stone that Moses got at Sinai?
Oof, I don't know. I mean, again, this rabbinic tradition, I quite like it, that they actually got the original Hebrew alphabet, and then the Aramaic people copied it from the Hebrews. And then the Hebrews lost it or something at some point. But that's very speculative and fanciful. So that's probably not really how it happened. So it was probably written in this script or in that hieroglyphic script because of the fact that writings in that script have been found around Sinai. So
either the Phoenician or the hieroglyphic versions of Hebrew writing.
Yeah.
But do we imagine that there was some? Well, presumably there was some change to the Hebrew pronunciation as well, but we just have no real way to know about that. I was going to say that the way it was spoken remained consistent, but maybe we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it probably did change as these things usually do. But what can be tracked is that the consonants, and that leads us back to the point. The consonants are the most important parts of the Hebrew alphabet. So, or of the Hebrew.
Oh yes, because they don't write the vowels.
They don't. Yeah, exactly. So
why did you teach me Aleph? It's a waste of time.
so this actually isn't an A because of that. What it actually is what is called in language a glottal stop.
Like butter.
Exactly. That's so exactly what it is.
The middle sound could be replaced by Aleph. BU, Aleph, ER, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so is this how you spell naive? I've forgotten how you spell it.
Yeah. Don't they sometimes put 2 dots over the I?
Yes, exactly. And that's what I was wanting to indicate, is that this umlaut on top of the I indicates that you have to basically insert a glottal stop here, which is like an sound in the back of your throat. And that indicates that our Latin alphabet actually is missing a letter that indicates a sound that you actively make here. This isn't like a gap. There's actually a sound that's made over here. And so technically you could insert a little Aleph over here to indicate that you have to make a glottal stop here. And so Aleph is in the Hebrew language and in the other Semitic languages, this is actually a glottal stop. But what it develops into in our Indo-European languages is a vowel, because it becomes most associated with the vowel A.
Right, so because if you do a glottal stop, you always follow it with some kind of vowel.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe the vowel that you associate. I mean, it also struck me as poetic that you could argue a glottal stop is the first sound made by like a baby when it's born, like just comes out of the silence.
Goodness. Yeah, that's quite. I like that. That's really cool. That's pretty good. So this is not only the first letter; it's also officially now we've decided it's the first sound that you make when you're born.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, what you see this turning into, you can almost see it here. Like if you extend this a little bit, it already looks more like an A. And so in the Greek alphabet, it turns into the alpha, and in the Latin alphabet as well. Later on, it takes on this kind of a shape in calligraphy. That's how it's called. Anyway, so for us, it's turned into an A, but for the Hebrews, the Aleph is actually just a glottal stop that you can use to put a vowel at the beginning of every word or any word. But that means it can be any vowel. It doesn't have to be an A. It can also be an A. It can be an O, any vowel.
So are all the rest of the Hebrew letters also going to be consonants rather than vowels?
Exactly, yeah. But some of them do through time become associated with specific vowels, which is why now in like modern Hebrew, which is called Ivrit, which is just Hebrew in Hebrew, the language or the writing doesn't have any dots in it to indicate vowels. It's because they've associated certain consonants with vowels so that you can recognize what vowel it is because that consonant is standing in its place. Kind of like how we use Aleph as an A in our writing systems. They've done something similar. So I guess we can go on to the second. Maybe we can do the first 5 letters because time has marched on. The second letter, which begins with a hieroglyph that looks like this, is called Beth. I don't know if you can recognize it like that, but if I do this and this,
It's a house.
and yeah, exactly. And so,
Cool.
this letter also develops over time, and from its original state, which is, oops, goodness, that's not the right thing. From its original state, which is like this, it eventually, yeah.
It does now look like a house now that you've told me. It's kind of one of those things. Once you've been told, you can never unlearn it.
Exactly. You've fallen into my trap. So so this Beth is also easy to remember because we actually know a place with this at the beginning of its name, which is, well, maybe you also know someone called Beth, but there's a place in the Bible which is very important, which is called Bethlehem.
Yes.
And that means the house of bread. So this means bread. You can forget that for now. We're concentrating on the house.
Okay.
So Beth is this letter, or Bet is what it's called as well, depending on your pronunciation. But I'm going to go with Beth. And what it ends up looking like in the Hebrew script is, so that's the first line of motion, is you start at the top and you draw a line down.
Okay.
Like that. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah. Hang on. Oh, I've got, yeah. So it's kind of like,
imagine this is the roof, maybe.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say it looks a bit like a walking stick.
Oh, well, that's important to remember for one of the other letters. So that's
Okay.
a good association to make.
Okay. But in this, that's the roof, and that's one of the walls. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And then for this, which is very important, is that every house has a foundation. So that's the last part of the letter.
So it's like playing hangman.
Exactly. And now we can dangle Judas from the roof. It got pretty dark.
It would be, you have to be quite good to win hangman when you're playing it in Hebrew, because you only get two wrong letters.
Okay, just having seen your thing, let me make it a bit clearer, the exact, so that, because you've made a slight mistake, which is normal. But it was also my fault because I made mine a bit squigglier. So there in your top right-hand corner, one can see that you've got a bit of an accentuated hook.
Yes, like this.
Yeah. So that's really cool stylistically, but I think just to start off and to make it a bit simpler, yeah, that would be better. You don't need the funky curl of hair on the front either. You can make it a bit more block-like.
So that
down, yeah,
and then that,
yeah, and the foundation doesn't need to reach very far beyond as like you can start a bit further on the left and then not go too far beyond the right. Yeah, so that's perfect. That would be like a good Beth.
And so let me do another one. When I was 5 years old, I'm sure I had to do 5 or something, but I won't do that on stream.
You can make the roof a bit longer as well. Yeah, that's very good.
Oh yes, because you told me that they're kind of like they live in
blocks,
rectangles.
Yeah,
and they start in the top left. So this is it? It's kind of like that.
Yes, that's perfect. That's amazing. Yes.
Okay,
you've mastered it.
There you go. I did 5, and 5 is all you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me reshow you.
Right. So that's the letter B, and that's the house.
Not the least amongst the princes of letters.
No, not at all. No, this is, I mean, the house of God is something that permeates all of Scripture and is finally established in Christ Himself, who is the ultimate temple. So first you have the Father, the bull, Aleph, and then you have the Son, the house. But the house is also reminiscent very much of the woman. So that's also the tabernacle in which the Father dwells, and so on.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I suppose bulls are quite a masculine symbol, and houses are seen as perhaps the feminine sphere.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of meaning and so on that one can go into with these letters. But I think we can go on to the, man, when I started looking into this stuff, I was like in the zone. A lot of really great stuff to find here. Not that I'm super knowledgeable about it at all. I'm still a child that's excited and playing around with these things. I'm not a master yet, but I'm happy to share what I've learned, I think. The next letter is called Gimmel. So this isn't something I don't think that you'll find in Hebrew writings too much, if at all, because I think it's imported from a different language, and which language it is, I've forgotten.
Okay.
But Gimmel is the thing that it is important to associate that walking stick with, because in antiquity it is important that a man has a rod or a cane with which he travels, because it's not only handy for like leaning on and so on, but it's also a good means of defending yourself out in the wilderness, in the rugged terrain of the ancient world. And so to think of this in terms of like a walking stick would not be the worst thing to do. Because it also begins like the bet. But yeah, what I want to emphasize is that this is a lot shorter than the bet's roof. So think of it as just the bare minimum you need to grab it with your hand.
Like how I was drawing it initially for Beth.
Exactly.
Beth.
Yeah. So let me just start again so that it is clear. It's pretty short.
Your rod and your gimmel, they comfort me.
Yeah, well, it's actually a different word there, but yeah, to try and remember it. It's like this, and then you can imagine it like a walker that your grandmother uses. It's got a bit of a leg at the bottom.
These do feel quite Egyptian to me. A lot of this stuff, brings back memories of seeing hieroglyphs. Okay. Which is not surprising, it being the same region of the world, the same period of history. And as you say, literally connected. Okay, so I'm just drawing that now.
Also just draw it again. Do my 5.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite helpful to figure out what's part of the drawing and what's just a little mouse slip. That's a bit extreme. Let me share my screen so people can watch me learning across, down, and then like a little S.
Yeah, so I'm just British brilliance. So just tuned in. Is Microsoft Paint the King James approved? There we go.
That's a very good question. Yeah, I feel Microsoft Paint is strongly King James associated.
Yes, it's about as old. Oh, sorry, I didn't. What's it called? Likosora has actually made a really good point. Is that these alphabets are referred to as the abjads because of the first letters. We've gotten up to the third letter now, and as you can see, I'll speak about that when we get back to my screen. But your gimmels are looking amazing.
Thank you. I'm going to give myself a gold star.
Nice.
For this. Hang
gold
about.
Pentagram.
No, it's gone wrong. All right. Back to you.
Okay. Let me just get rid of these gimmels. Yeah.
There is an association between the sort of, isn't there a Jewish star of some sort, and then the pentagram is meant to be a subversion of that in some way?
It could be.
Maybe.
Probably. The Jewish one has 6.
It's got 6, and then the pentagram is 5. That's it. Yeah. It's 2 stars, isn't it? Two triangles.
Yeah. So as below, I guess, or as below, so above. I guess it's supposed to be the other way around.
British Brilliant says, glad to hear it. I feared it was one of those questions lost to history.
Anyway, so right, so the abjad, I think that's important because we've got the first 3 letters, which are kind of an A, but it's actually a glottal stop, a B, and we've got the gimmel now, which is a G.
Is that sounded like J?
So this is the interesting thing. The glottal stop can take the sound of any vowel. The Beth has 2 sound possibilities. It's got the sort of base
B.
beth, which is b, and it's pronounced like that if it has a dot in it. So if it has a dot in it, you can imagine this is the harder pronunciation, the more edgy kind of pronunciation, which is like
interesting.
B. So it's got a defined character to it. Whereas if it doesn't have a dot in it, it's almost like you're breathing through the letter to say something else. So then it becomes more like a whistle that you're blowing or something, in which case this would become what we associate with the V sound. V.
V. Yes, I was just looking up the normal B is apparently described as a voiced bilabial stop.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that'd be great if you could look this up. This would probably be a labial fricative or something like that, but I'm not sure exactly about these terms.
See, it's sorry, I haven't got a good website that just explains everything, so I'll do it in a minute when you're talking.
Okay, so the point is that you have the harder pronunciation which has the dot in it, and you've got the softer, more aspirated pronunciation where you breathe through it, so it's continuous. It's a v sound, so you can have continuity with the v sound. It can like go on forever, but if it has a dot in it, then it's a stop, just like the Aleph.
Yeah, the answer is voiced labiodental fricative.
Okay, so this is
I assume dental is your teeth and labial is your lips. So bilabial is both your lips. Labial dental is your teeth and your lip, your one lip. And then stop is when the air is no longer coming out of your mouth, versus fricative is just there's something interfering with it.
Yes, exactly. So
okay.
Anyway, so with the bet, there's also hypothesizing, but pretty accurate hypothesizing. I think that it isn't labial dental, or dental labial, I can't remember what it was, but that it's only labial, where it's basically your two lips, you're breathing through your two lips so that it's...
That's not a sound we do in English, I think.
No, it isn't. Very good.
I do it when I'm trying not to laugh.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it used to be. They used to laugh a lot more back in the day. Anyway, so but it is a V essentially. So the G, the Gimmel, is a G sound if it has the dot in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it doesn't, that's one might think so. It's close. It's also guttural because Gimmel is formed in the throat, which is why it's called guttural, because it's your gutter. No, it's the Latin word for throat. So it is a guttural, and the sound that's formed is there, but it's more like an R in the back of your throat because it has to have the continuity. So it's more like something like that.
Like it's using your whatever it's called at the back of your. There's a lot. I didn't know I needed to come into this stream with so much vocab around bits of your mouth, but yeah.
Yes. Well, in modern Hebrew, this is just pronounced like a g as well. So they don't have this anymore. That's disappeared. I still try to, in biblical Hebrew, pronounce it like a r. So if you have the name Hagar, for example, instead of saying Hagar, I say Harar. And even then, I'm not entirely sure if it's as accurate as it should be. But anyway, the point is that there's a softer pronunciation of the G. Some also speculate... Sorry, yeah?
I was going to say, to stick with the... No, you say what you... Finish that sentence. It sounds more relevant.
So the reason why it's called abjad is because the Arabic alphabet has this as a J sound, which is what you were speculating as well. And we've got that in English as well with words like... I have to think of a word that starts with G and gentleman, like gentleman.
Gillette.
Or Gillette, yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Presumably they wanted to conjure up the idea of gentleman, so they picked a G and then a soft J sound.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
also a possibility, because
So
that's how Arabic does it.
just recap the sounds so far then, and using just an vowel sound. You've got and then you've got ba, ka, no,
G.
yeah, ga, and then ra,
Yes,
and
exactly.
possibly j.
Yes,
speculatively j.
But I think it's more firmly established that it's a r sound. So that was really good that you actually did that. And yeah, but with the soft B, you can just say v. You can just make it a V. I think that's more.
I love when you can learn a new kind of sound that you've never done before. Like
I see.
All the hundreds of noises, like the Welsh, and then the various bits of Europe that have different sounds of coughing in the middle of their words.
Yeah. Anyway.
Or in Africa, there's all the clicks, isn't there?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that also has an interesting history to it. But let's stick with Hebrew for now. It's what's interesting to note is that the Greek letter G looks similar to the Gimmel, but it's inverted or flipped around because they write from left to right, whereas the Hebrews write from right to left. But this is a gamma in Greek, and it looks very similar to the Gimmel because it has similar origins. So those are the first 3 letters. I'd still like to get through the last 2 of the first 5.
Yeah,
if that's okay.
I've got time. So if you're up for
Okay.
it, let's just keep rolling.
Okay, great. The next one, if you know your Greek alphabet, you'll find this is actually quite similar, is the D sound. So, whoops, that's again the wrong brush. But you've got D, and the word lying at the base of this is the word Dalet, which sounds to me a lot like the Daleks. I don't know if anyone gets that reference, but anyway.
Is that Doctor Who?
Yes, yeah, it is. Okay. Anyway, now that I've outed myself as a complete nerd. Yeah, exactly.
Aleph, Beth. Now, I kept thinking of Gimli, but it's not Gimli, is it?
Oh, well, I'd prefer it if
it was.
Yeah, but anyway.
Gimmel. And then Dalet.
It's very similar to the word camel, which we actually get from Hebrew and is spelled, well, this won't help anyone yet, but this is how the word Gimmel is spelled. I mean, Gamal. Now you've infected me. Gamal is spelled like this, and this is the word for camel. And that's the first letter. And it looks a bit like a camel to me as well. So that's another way of potentially remembering it. And also learning a Hebrew word. Gamal. Gimmel. Camel. Anyway, Gimli is great as well, though. And then you just imagine that it's his axe or something.
Yes, exactly.
My axe. So,
as many different ways that can help it get into my brain, because I don't really know. Like I know English, I know a tiny bit of French, but learning languages gets harder and harder, especially if you haven't used those bits of your brain, I think. So I need all the help I can get.
Well, C++ and whatever. I actually don't know.
But to learn programming languages, you just have to learn about 4 vocab words, and you've got a whole new language.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case.
Not really comparable.
I need to switch careers. I feel like went into the wrong kind of languages. But this is also good. And Dalet starts very much like the previous 2 letters that we've had. Got a big hat. Looks kind of like a bet or Beth, but instead of having the wall directly connected to the roof, it's kind of got the wall growing out from under the roof like this. And what Dalet means, it's also kind of easy to remember, is because it also starts with a D, is door. So the Dalet is the door, and kind of looks like a door as well, actually, if you think about it. So the Dalet is the door, and it looks like this. It looks like half a door to me. I don't know exactly.
Okay. Anyway. Oh yeah. Let me draw mine. I'll switch on my. Here we go. So long line and then down. Now I've just done them as straight lines. Is there more subtlety to it than that?
No, not really. I mean, if you look at the dialect in a book, then
it'll have some fancy calligraphy marks.
Yeah, and you can appropriate those if you want.
Probably looks
someone
like
that actually knows Hebrew would be able to decipher it, I think. Exactly. That's exactly like that. How did you know? That frightens me.
the Arabic dalet. There we go. See if I can remember the other ones, because that.
Yeah, do the whole. Yeah, that's Aleph.
Okay, and then
pronounce like this. Like someone that's joking. Anyway, and that's Beth.
Yeah.
The house.
The one we just did, which was not actually Gimli, was.
Oh, if you just circle the Aleph and the Beth that you've drawn there.
In one circle together.
Yeah, or just draw a box around them to box them off a bit. That is actually a Hebrew word.
Ooh.
It's pronounced bo, and it means
bo.
He came. That's what it means.
Ah.
He came. So someone came up to your door, then he bore.
Is that because we associate this with? No, you said it's kind of associated with. Is this just an vowel? Is it an O?
So technically, it just in that case indicates a vowel.
Okay.
And it wouldn't need to be there, but because they wanted to make sure that the pronunciation doesn't go lost, what happened is that the Hebrew scribes developed a system. I think it was the Masoretes, who were these really kind of diligent scribes that did a lot of work that gives us the Hebrew text that we have today. And they developed a system of marking where vowels occur by placing specific consonants there. So in this case, they used the Aleph to show that there's a sound there, namely the sound or. Later on, that became a different letter. So we'll still get into that a bit more. But basically, it's just showing there's a vowel that comes after the B sound, and so that you don't think that it's just a B sound without any vowel. They put the Aleph there to make sure you know that this is the word bore, as opposed to other words.
And what did bore mean again?
He came. Yeah, he came. Sorry, I was going to say he comes, and then I was
came.
Like, he came. Yeah.
Okay. And then this is my Gimmel.
Yeah.
And then here's my
Dalet. And there, if you circle those two letters, that's also a word.
Ooh.
What?
Is this do?
No. Try again.
Okay. So this one is a G. So dog. Is it a dog?
No. So that that's quite good, but it isn't. It's not a dog. So usually, what happens if you have Hebrew letters without vowels, the vowel that you want to automatically try and put in between the consonants is the vowel A or R, actually, the R sound.
So dog.
Exactly. And there's a god, a pagan god in the Old Testament called Dagon, whose name is formed out of this word Dag, and he's the god of the Philistines, who are a seafaring, kind of like ancient Viking people, and they worship Dagon, and Dag means fish.
There you go, fish.
Yep.
And this one was egos.
Yes, he comes.
So he comes
towards you. Yeah. But it's good that you remembered that it's got to do with motion. That's great. So he comes, and so you can. We're almost in the kind of. Still a couple of months away, but
I probably, if I learn one more word, I could probably make a little sentence like he came with fish or something.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah. Well, let's learn the last letter and then we'll try and make a sentence. I think that's pretty good. I quite like that.
Let's put you back on the screen.
So the last letter is for today is the letter he, which again comes from an older word in a different language, and it's the word het, and I can't remember exactly what it means, but I think actually I can look it up quickly. But just to learn what it's drawn like, it's similar to the H. It's an H by meaning, but it looks like this. So you start again, top left-hand corner, and then you draw out a block like this, kind of like a Beth. But then instead of it having ground or, a bit of a gutter on the side, or like a veranda on the side, it's got a kind of pillar that's not really fulfilling its purpose. So this gap over here in the letter he is very important because it is what differentiates it from another similar sounding letter, consonant. So again, the he is like this.
And what is the pictorial significance of this shape? It's kind of like an unstable feeling object because it's in two parts, unlike all the other things we've seen which are connected.
I can't remember. Oh, here we go. So the letter is originally, all of this is in Wikipedia, but it originally apparently means courtyard. And the hieroglyph looks like this, which kind of indicates like a blueprint of, I don't know what, here's the courtyard. What's the courtyard? That's maybe the house. Maybe this is the courtyard over here. So this space here is the courtyard. If I draw it again,
I suppose a courtyard is more open than a house in that the glyph for a house had one entrance, and the courtyard you kind of flow through. Maybe that's the way to.
That is very interesting. You can move through here.
Because I was imagining maybe the house was, rather than you kind of drew it in plan view or like front view and drew the door and the top on it. But I was wondering if it was meant to be more like a plan view where you see one entrance at the bottom of the. You remember the original Beth shape that you drew? Do you know what I mean? Let me share my screen.
Okay. Yeah, you show me, teach me.
Well, I was just wondering, and probably this is not correct, but like, could this not be like, instead of like this, right?
Well, that is a very European house, I think.
Could be more like this, right? And somebody could come in the front door of the house.
Yes, okay, that's quite good. I like that.
So then the courtyard is like
into the house.
Anyway, this is probably mostly just so that I can
remember it. But remember it. I mean, that seems plausible to me. I'm not the expert on this, but I like that. I think that's quite.
It's fun pretty good. It's fun to speculate, even if I don't really know. Okay, so let me draw my 5. Oh, sorry, I should start with this one, right? Start in the top left and do across, down. And this is het. Again, het makes me think of Egyptian.
Yes, I think that is more Egyptian. If you learn the Hebrew alphabet, you just say he. You don't say het.
Hair.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Wait, I made a mistake. But it's fine. The courtyard is great as well. Good way of remembering it. But I remember now that it's also related somehow to the word halal, which means to worship. Because I was looking at the actual hieroglyph here on the chart, and I can show that.
Halal, like how some foods are considered to be halal.
No, well, that's the Arabic word, and it's probably related, but halal, you'll find in words like hallelujah, which means halal is he worships or he praises, and hallelu is they praise, masculine, and then hallelujah is they praise Yah, which is short for Yahweh.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Yeah. Or it could obviously it could also be you should pray or praise, like it's an imperative. So praise Yahweh, that's actually what it means. Sorry. So it's a command, you should praise God. Hallelujah.
And Yah is in the next 5, is that right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's at the end of the next 5 letters. So after that we'll even be able to write the name of the Lord, which is quite cool.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay. Is there any chance you can construct a short sentence using the first 5 letters of the Hebrew alphabet?
Yes, actually. Let's see.
Do you want to tell me the letters and I'll write them right to left?
Sure. Yeah,
that would be a good way to practice.
Yes. So write Beth.
Okay. Across, down, and then the line at the bottom.
And then Aleph.
Oh yeah. Long diagonal line. Little hook bit going up. And then this kind of S-shaped bit down here.
Great. And then leave a space.
Okay.
And then write Aleph and then Beth. You can make the roof of your Beth a bit longer. Sorry, just to make them even more recognizable.
Okay.
And then
new line.
New line. Leave a space. Put a Beth. And then as a part of the same word, put a Dalet and a Gimmel.
Okay. Dalet was long and across the top and down, and no, that was the one we just did. I've forgotten.
That was you were right. That is the Dalet. Big.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Dalet is the same as hair, except it doesn't have the line on the left. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. That's correct. Absolutely correct. Yeah, it means the door. So here we go.
And then the Gimmel was like this, and then with this.
Yes. So if anyone knows Hebrew, they might be laughing, or they might not be. So, what you can also learn quickly.
These across. Ready there? Yes.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. If you quickly switch to my screen, I can show you what a full stop looks like. And I've got a nice pen here. So a full stop looks like 2 diamonds that are above one another, kind of like a colon in English.
Okay, I love
full stop looks like
now.
that. Okay.
Do I want them roughly floating at the same height as a colon would be?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I didn't mean it in a derogatory sort of way, but I think it can also mean something derogatory. But the first word, I don't know if you can.
Okay. Do you want me to see what I can parse out of this?
Yes, yeah, try and.
Okay, so we've got. I'm gonna go with the rule that R is the default vowel. So bar. Oh, didn't we already do this one? Is that
Mhm.
no? But that was Bale, the fish. Okay, is that? Am I remembering correctly? This means fish.
No, that's that. If you go with the, I'm trying to see if I can bring you back to.
Oh no, it was
If,
BG. Was that right?
no. It's a. Well, let's stick with the first word. It's an Aleph, so it's definitely indicating a vowel. But what if the vowel isn't an A sound?
Okay, so it could be B, like to be. No, that's English.
No, well, we did write this. It's a verb, and we wrote it. It was the first word that I
Oh,
showed to you.
oh, I see. Sorry. Okay, so because the Aleph. How have I forgotten this already? People watching along, for I'm sure remembered this. Yeah, they can skip back and cheat. So this is. So you're saying I'm right that it's a hard B that I'm thinking
Yes.
I should have, right? Not the alternative. And
Yeah.
then this stands in for a vowel, but it was O. Ah, it was O. So it was boo. And what did it mean?
Had a sense of motion.
Motion, yes. To come. He came.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. that was also, you actually remembered it.
Sorry, it took me so long.
No, I mean it's pretty difficult to put all of this together in one.
I like to imagine myself up like Indiana Jones with a torch, and I'm looking at a wall trying to like decipher it.
Yeah.
Oh, this means he came. Okay, let's carry on.
Next one.
Okay, so this is the same letters, but the opposite way round. Now, this is the glottal stop at the beginning. So it basically means it starts with a vowel and then it ends with a B. So it's either like ab, egg, eb, ob, something like that.
Yeah.
Or of, ob.
If you apply the rule that we learned, which is that the normal vowel to place would be something.
So av or ab.
Yeah.
No. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just thinking Adam would be presumably Aleph, whatever the D one was, and then Aleph, and then Aleph, Dalet, Aleph, and then whatever M is.
Almost, yeah. That's pretty good. I like that you're really going in that direction. Okay, but the second word is pronounced av, like you were saying, and so usually with these letters where it can either be a soft or a hard sound, if it's closing a syllable, so av is one syllable, av. If it closes the syllable, it's usually the softer sound.
Okay. So you think of harder sounds in the middle of Hebrew words and softer sounds at the end of Hebrew words.
Exactly, yeah. Because if you turn it into, so the meaning of the word is father, av, and we have Jesus, for example.
Yes, that's it's ringing bells from watching some of your streams.
Okay, well, I'm flattered.
But bo av.
Yeah.
He came father.
Yes. So in Hebrew, the word order is the verb, then the subject, then the object.
Okay.
So how would you translate that first phrase with that?
The father came.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or father came. I guess we don't know if it's a definitive father or a
Oh, this is brilliant. So technically here it's not definite. It's just a father came.
Okay.
But now what you can do is you can put a bigger space between av and bo, and then I can show you the definite article. This is amazing, actually, how much you can grab out of these first 5 letters.
Yes, you would think more letters are created from the first few letters in any alphabet than the later ones. That's pure speculation on my part. But I bet you in English you can make more words with A, B, and C than you can with X, Y, and Z.
So av is a father, but if you put a hair in front of it.
Which is the one letter that we don't have so far.
No,
So-
that you've learned this one.
No, I mean it's the one
I
that we
see.
haven't written in this sentence yet. So
Yes, okay.
now we have completed the 5 letters and the punctuation mark,
Okay.
and we have bo, and now this is h, I guess, or ha, ha.
Ha ha ha.
Is it ha?
Yes.
How do you
Yes,
pronounce
it is.
this?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly it.
Bo ha av. Bo ha
Yes.
bo ha av.
Yes, perfect. Wow, man, you already know Hebrew. This is great. You've just said that's actually a complete sentence, right? That's an independent clause.
He
the father came.
The father came.
And you can, so in Hebrew, it's got certain agglutinative qualities, which I'll get into maybe a bit later. But that means that elements that belong to one word stick together. And that means that the definite particle will stick to the word father, which means that ha'av is just one word. So you can take the hair and you can sort of stick it to the father if you can manage that. So it's bo ha'av.
Later languages are agglutinative intolerant.
Well, some, yes. English, for example, is very analytical.
I guess the bo is a bit like a B, right? Because you've got like, if you think you're reading left to right, like in English, you've got kind of this shape. If you reversed it and you end up with this kind of shape in Hebrew, it's like not a million miles away. And similarly, the Aleph, like a million miles away from an A. And then I guess the H, like if you imagine that top beam dropping down and coming here, you've got an H rather than the hair.
Nice. Yeah. And even the dialect actually originally looks like a delta. If you switch back to my screen very quickly. Yeah, well, it basically looks like that. You've done it there. So that was good.
So from this to that.
Well, yes, exactly. Yeah. So the Hebrew dialect that we've learned is younger than the old dialect. So the old dialect looked more like a delta. And anyway, but to get back to our sentence, the last word.
Okay, so this is a ba. So for the sake of argument, it's a ba. This is a da, and then this is a g. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's bardag.
Oh, this is actually really good. I didn't realize there's actually another learning opportunity here. But the way in which you've said it now makes it definite. But so let me explain that a little bit. But first things first, this word that you've just said is in English 2 words. So I'm curious to see how would you separate what you've got there so that we can identify the 2 separate words based on what you've learned.
So it's either going to be bad arg or bar dag. I don't feel particularly strong leaning one way or the other. Is there a way I should be able to figure out between those two?
If you come, we did learn the word that's.
Oh, one of those is a word, is it?
Yes.
Dag meant fish. So
yes,
bar
exactly.
dag would be the fish.
Yes. Well, it would contain the fish. So this is where something else. Hadag would be the fish on its own.
Oh yes, because we've got the definite article here. So does bar, is that a different article?
So bar is a preposition and it means.
Okay.
Well, actually, if you look at the first word in our sentence and you try and turn that into a preposition, what would you make it? To be very sorry, I'm really demanding a lot of you here, but but I'm just curious to see.
Well, near.
Yeah, basically it means in or with.
With. Okay, yeah. Because this means he came, so I'm thinking it's something to do with closeness.
Yes,
So it's a preposition meaning nearby, and then we've already got fish. So you kind of, it's almost like we've got repetition here. It's grammatically saying the same thing about both the fish and the father, because I mean they're traveling together. I guess is the reason.
Yeah.
So we've got, let's change to a different color if I'm going to be drawing on top of these. So we've got, so sorry. I feel the bits of knowledge that I've just learned are kind of just about settling into my brain, but I keep losing them.
That's perfectly normal. That's really good. I mean, what you've done now is amazing. I'm enjoying this a lot from my side.
Your excellent tuition. So bar the father, this is the definite article, and this mean no, sorry. Now he comes, right? Bar, he comes. Verb first, and then this is the definite article, so it's now the father. This being sorry, father in isolation was Av, so this is, does this become just half?
So the Aleph will be like the umlaut on naive. It'll re-emphasize. Yes, exactly.
As if they were still separated, but the Aleph is doing that job still. So ha'av. So da, he came, da'av, the father, and then this meaning not near but with. No, or what did you say the best translation was for this?
Default is in, but in and with in ancient languages often are the same word.
Yeah. Okay. So with fish being dog.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So in this case, it's dog.
Yes. Yeah. So if I, so this, yeah, again, so the first verb would be bore. This word is always pronounced bore. So and the simplest form of any verb is always the third person masculine past tense or perfect tense. So it will be he came, who came, the father came. So bor ha'av, the father came. And then this is where it could potentially be derogatory for those who like to snigger at such things, but it doesn't need to be. It's just that's you, and your mind is in the gutter with the fishes.
Your mind is in your throat.
Yeah, exactly. But so it could potentially mean the father came into the fish, which would be terrible, or it would mean the father came with the fish.
Yes.
So
but like with anything in language, when there's ambiguity, it's resolved by what's the most likely reading, and people are going to be talking about, oh, the father's turned up again with the fish, or in other words, da ha ab no, but bo ha ab bad bad dog.
Yes, that's perfect. I mean, that's amazing. That's that's really good. I mean, you can, after your first hour, you're already able to read a sentence, which is pretty impressive. I don't think I was able to do that. I just had to sit down and memorize the alphabet. But you've actually.
Well, I don't know about reading a sentence. If you weren't there to very carefully hold my hand through the whole process, but hey, that might be a fun exercise to begin next week. Is if you come up with a sentence and maybe it's just a remix of these same words in a different order. So it's going to end up being fish came with the father, probably. Just think if I can do it.
Yeah, okay, like a challenge sentence for you to
A
start off
challenge
with.
sentence. Yeah.
That sounds good. I like that.
Great. What homework should I try to get done by next week? I feel like just practicing writing these letters might be a good start.
Yeah, I definitely think that that would be the best thing, is to just get comfortable with these letters and then try to also remember the rules of like the vowel that you usually put in between consonants is an A sound, a long A sound, ah. So except for the word bo that you've learned now, which means he came. So bo, but otherwise ha'av, badag. And then also one thing that I forgot to mention is that the D also has a soft sound. So bo could also be pronounced vo, and I think it would actually, but not in modern Hebrew, but in the biblical Hebrew, it might be. Anyway, I'd have to look again. But ha'av, there's the soft B sound. No, actually, sorry, for closing this syllable. So it would be bo, ha'av, and then badag.
Badag.
Those letters could all be, I think in this case, it would be a hard B. See, I need to brush up on these rules now, I'm realizing. But I think it would be a hard B to begin the word. Yeah, that would make sense. And then the D could potentially be soft, but because it's in the middle of the word, it would also be hard.
And
So
what's
it'd be
the sound of a... Oh, yes. So the G there at the end could be R, which would make this badar.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So bo, ha'ab, badar, approximately.
Yeah, exactly. So just to end it off, the soft, what would you imagine the soft D sounding like after having learned all of the other soft letters?
So it could be a S sound.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Like D to S. It could be a Z, like a Z. I guess S and Z are the same, except a Z is voiced. I don't know if Hebrew has unvoiced consonants. Maybe that's more of an English thing.
No, it does also. Like B.
Okay.
Would be an unvoiced consonant, I think.
Isn't P the unvoiced equivalent of B?
Yes, sorry, that's true. Yeah, here we go. You got this better than I do. That's true. Yeah. So the P is the unvoiced B. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay.
And Hebrew does have some like that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for my lesson, and I'm hoping to have these fairly regularly so that we can actually get somewhere. You know, if this was a 4 times a year stream, then I'd be about 70 before I could read any Hebrew. So Philippa has kindly agreed to at least give a shot at doing these. I guess either weekly or bi-weekly or something like that, as in every 2 weeks, approximately. And if God willing and both of our time permitting, we'll carry on. So I'm excited for this. It seems quite. I feel a little intimidated by it, but at the same time, I also feel like on the other side of this mountain to climb is actual insight into the Word of God, which is super exciting, right? This is the reason to do it, not just because learning languages is fun, which it is, but also like there's real gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're actually a lot further than I think you can begin to grasp. Like you've learned a lot already. I'm quite surprised myself at the things that we were able to untangle from these first couple of letters. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I guess that's partly the wonder of language, that it's such a powerful tool that you can get by on so little and yet make actual communications, like one person to another with just a few concepts tied together, and the magic of picking the right basic concepts and fitting them all with one another.
Yeah.
But yes, we were possibly hoping to do 10 letters in the stream, but in a way we've done fewer letters, but I think more concepts and things along the way. So I'm pretty happy with that.
I'm sure it'll go quicker in future as well,
Yeah,
because we've done a lot of groundwork.
Great. Cool. Okay. Well, oh, by the way, I've recorded some. I was thinking of doing some YouTube shorts. You know, these things on YouTube where it's like a vertical video and it's less than a minute long. I've recorded a couple, so look out for those on my channel. This is my new, my other new thing I'm starting up. Sadly, I'm on Semiagog's channel tomorrow, so I can't do the normal Bible study. But next week, during the week, it's absolutely jam-packed. I think I've got 3 midweek streams. I'm dying to do some proper Bible studies again with a big group coming along. But yeah, there's lots of fun things. So keep paying attention on the channel. Philip, anything you'd like to plug on your own channel or anything else?
I'm still I am slowly but surely making progress with formatting my book and so on. So I do want to publish that at some point. Would be nice if people bought it and then reviewed it if they liked it or hated it. Give it 1 star if you didn't like it.
Can you give any more information about what's the book about?
So it's
top secret.
No, I think I can say it's called The House of Noth, and it's about the House of Noth. No, but
I'd argue you've picked a good name for it then.
Thank you. Thanks. Really reflects the content. No, but it's got sort of different types of people. It's got at the heart of the story is kind of a nomadic people that's based on a lot of different cultures. And they roam around a lot, but there's also some tension between traditionalism and kind of a more progressive thought pattern that's emerged. And so there's tension within this nomadic village. There are Germanic peoples, there are African peoples, there are also sort of other Eastern types of peoples. So there's a lot of stuff there that is addressed, that's discussed in the form of a narrative. And it does hopefully tie into things that we experience on an everyday basis. But it's also written in a very kind of archaic, stylized way. So there should be a preview once it's published that you can read, and maybe that piques your interest. I don't know.
That sounds really exciting. So great. We'll look forward to having that preview when it shows up. Great. Thank you very much, Philip. Catch you soon.
Thank you. Yeah.